stopped us at the door on that day. Be careful. They have kept warning us, the Church of Christ. They have kept warning this generation. But please be careful. You will find us standing at the door. In some of the tremendous visions, for example, the vision of the church walking up the stairs, you find them in that tremendous vision standing at the door. It is absolutely very shocking to find this very glorious, very beautiful testimony that we receive from Kahuria from Joro. Kahuria says he's from Joro main altar, and he says that for all his life he's been a lukewarm Christian. Sometimes forced to go to church, sometimes he goes, sometimes he doesn't go. Sometimes he fasts in the holy, total dry fasts of the Lord, like the one coming. Sometimes he doesn't. He breaks it. And he maintained his friends from the world who are not born again, who are drinking, who are in banks and smoking and drugs and all the world, the things of the world. Kahuria shared a testimony of what happened to him. And he said he realized that his business was not doing well. So he decided to fast for his business for 7 days, where he would break every evening. On the 6th day, as he was still on his fasting for his business, that his business may flourish, that his friends, the worldly friends that he maintained while in salvation, called him and said, "We have a party." And Kahuria loved his friends more than he loved the Lord. And so he decided to obey his friends and join his friends to go to the party. And he broke his fast. When he went to the party, he found that there is a cake that was baked. And also there were drinks. So he broke his fast. He really went into it and started eating and drinking. And for him, he was hungry. So he ate quite a piece of the huge cake. Only for his friends, he realized that they were just having just a little bit, and then they would leave it. So he thought, maybe they are not as hungry as I am. For me, I've been fasting for my business. But then, after he had eaten quite a huge piece of the cake, that is when one of his friends found out that the cake is almost finished and wondered, who ate all this? And they found it is Kahuria. They asked him, "How do you feel?" So he thought it was a joke. So he said, "I'm just satisfied. I've been fasting." So the friends were shocked. And they told him, "No, this cake was actually baked with drugs, bangi and what? Are you feeling all right?" And he said, "I don't feel anything." "Do you feel anything in your head?" He said, "I don't feel a thing." "What do you mean?" "It was baked with drugs." Shortly after, he began to become high of the drugs that were in that cake. And when he received a call from one of his friends telling him that he wants to offer him some business, he wanted to talk business, he left the party, excused himself, and went to the party to try and talk to that friend of his business. But by the time he arrived to meet his friend in just a few minutes, the friend found out that Kahuria was talking too loud. He was screaming, he was shouting, but he couldn't tell that he was becoming violent. And then he collapsed and went into a blackout. Kahuria testifies that when he finally when he collapsed, he found out that he was in total darkness. And then someone, a man with a sururu, very scary, appeared and began chasing him in that darkness. And he was running in a tunnel that was outside with skeletons of human beings. Very, very scary. And he's running for his dear life. But then the man with the sururu is about to catch up with him. And he realized the more he ran in that tunnel, the more he was getting closer to a huge hole where people was screaming and wailing, and smoke was rising out of that hole. Hell. He couldn't turn back in the darkness because death is chasing him. And ahead of the tunnel is a huge hole where people are screaming and wailing and crying, and smoke is rising, and it's getting more and more scary. But before the tunnel is a junction, and at the junction is a beautiful gate on one side, and the tunnel continues on the other side that heads straight to the deep hole where people are screaming and shouting and crying, and smoke is rising from in there. Blood-curdling screams. Behind him was the man, scary man, chasing him with a sururu. At the junction, between the two roads, the tunnel headed to hell, and a beautiful gate was the two mightiest and most dreadful, the most glorious prophets of Yahweh, the forerunners of the Messiah, whom we have seen openly walk with God the Father. Kahuria explains that he tried to plead with the two mega prophets of the Lord God, save me, as the man with the sururu was getting closer to him. But when death saw the two mega prophets of the Lord God, death stopped and began addressing Kahuria, who was pleading with the two mega prophets of the Lord God to save him. And Kahuria says the two mega prophets of Yahweh were very serious. And they asked him, did I warn you? And he was stuck, he was dumbfounded, and went on to plead with the two mightiest and most dreadful prophets of the Lord God to please save him. Have mercy on me, he cried. And death was taunting him, telling him, here there is no mercy. Why didn't you listen to them? That death also knows there are two, and only them can save, can help you out of eternal damnation at this hour. Kahuria pleaded with the two most dreadful prophets of Yahweh, and as he was pleading with the two mega prophets of Yahweh, he saw that they had the key to open that beautiful door for him to escape eternal damnation, hell, to escape from death that was pursuing him. Then the two most dreadful prophets of Yahweh extended his hand and opened the door for him, and he woke up in hospital. And he realized while in there that everyone will surely meet the two most dreadful prophets of the Lord God at the door, at the gate. Kahuria realized that even the blackmailers, they will meet the two most dreadful prophets of Yahweh on their way to hell. Kahuria changed his life, and we celebrate the salvation of the Lord in his life. He now is very serious in church. Those of you from Joro know him, how he's very serious with evangelism, going everywhere, telling people, listen to the two mightiest prophets of Yahweh. They have the key. They hold the key in their hands. Otherwise, you will meet them on the gate precious people, the two mightiest, most glorious and most dreadful prophets of Yahweh, the beholders of the key, the golden key that open or shut heaven over any nation or any individual,